When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground. This quote from Cersei Lannister led me to ask myself the following question. If the stakes of politics are so high for the individual, does that leave any room for political action? Does entering the world of politics become purely a game of self-preservation against one's political foes, rather than a pathway to solving society's problems? George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire presents a world wherein the political cannot address real-world problems. Tyrion repeatedly fails to take the threat of the mysterious White Walkers seriously. Instead, he focuses on the politics of King's Landing, trying to maintain his own position while also outmaneuvering others. Furthermore, in the TV show, Cersei also focuses on the maintenance of her own power as opposed to assisting in the fight against the White Walkers. Thus, A Song of Ice and Fire depicts politics not as a solution to the world's problems, but as a world in and of itself, so demanding that engagement with it blinds one to possible actions to address serious real-world issues. If you imagine for a minute that you were a politician, consider how you would have to allocate your time. While you might want to try implementing genuine change, just think about how much time you would have to dedicate to election cycles and ensuring that your opponents do not oust you. Just consider how much time that could have been used to address real issues instead of on securing funding so that one's political competitor cannot simply obscure your campaign with their countless advertisements and expensive events. George R. R. Martin, outside of the books, in an interview with the New York Times, made a statement that explicitly highlighted his own belief about politics and action. He said, "The people in Westeros are fighting their individual battles over power, status, and wealth, and those are so distracting that they're ignoring the threat of winter is coming, which has the potential to destroy all of them and to destroy their world. And there is a great parallel there to, I think, what I see this planet doing here. We're fighting our own battles. We're fighting over important issues, mind you, foreign policy, domestic policy, civil rights, social responsibility, social justice. All of these things are important, but while we're tearing ourselves apart over this and expanding so much energy, there exists this threat of climate change, which to my mind is conclusively proved by most of the data and 99.9% of the scientific community, and it really has the potential to destroy our world. And we're ignoring that while we worry about the next election and issues that people are concerned about, like jobs. Jobs are very important, of course. All these things are important issues, but none of them are important if we're dead and our cities are under the ocean. So really, climate change should be the number one priority for any politician who is capable of looking past the next election. But unfortunately, there are only a handful of those. We spend 10 times as much energy and thought and debate in the media discussing whether or not NFL players should stand for the national anthem than this threat that's going to destroy our world. George R. R. Martin clearly believes that environmental problems are growing unchecked due to the distractions of politics. What I would be curious about is whether Martin thinks those other political issues he mentioned in that interview are adequately addressed by politics or are only discussed. The reason why is because A Song of Ice and Fire appears to present the solution of all political problems as arising from the actions of individuals or groups outside of the realm of politics. For example, Jon Snow addresses the threat of the White Walkers by letting the Wildlings into Westeros. This major action came not from the political scene in King's Landing, but the action of an individual at the head of a politically neutral institution, the Night's Watch, which possessed control over the gate to Westeros. This demonstrates that change can be driven by institutions other than the central government, such as schools, unions, or others, that play a role in society. Another great example of the power of the non-political is the Brotherhood Without Banners. This group fights for the protection of the average Westerosi through actions separate from King's Landing. An example of the futility of politics is Daenerys Targaryen. She believes she can improve Marine society as its queen by abolishing slavery, yet she finds it so embedded that it cannot be done without a revolt against her. This highlights that it is ultimately up to society to implement change, not political leaders. Furthermore, in the TV show, The focus on self-preservation ultimately corrupts Daenerys' original motives. Instead of instituting the change she once desired, she uses her dragon to wreak havoc on King's Landing, to instill her enemies with terror, and thus secure her own unquestionable power. A Song of Ice and Fire's presentation of politics as fundamentally futile to enacting any kind of change, but rather as a self-interested arena, should not be something that leads to pessimism. For the text depicts individuals and groups outside the sphere of politics as ultimately possessing the ability to change the world without the need to enter politics. Essentially, the story places the power of change not in the hands of a few politicians, but in the hands of the entire society. That means it is up to us, not politicians, to change the world. Thank you for watching this video to the end. That helps with the algorithm immensely. Same with people who like this video and subscribe to this channel. As always, feel free to counter my argument and debate each other in the comments. Goodbye.